Hello again everyone, it's me, MadameMacabre, and today we're going to be diving into a particularly eerie topic. The world of true crime is already a dark and unsettling one. People go missing for many reasons, and sometimes they are fortunately found alive, while other times, sadly, they are not. But most unsettling of all are the cases that simply have no explanation or answer. Today we're going to be covering 5 cases of creepy and completely unexplained disappearances. 5 creepy, unexplained disappearances. Number 5. The SODDER children. One disappearance can be hard enough to stomach, but 5? The SODDER family experienced just this one Christmas Day, 1945. In 1945, on Christmas Eve night, something terrible occurred. The family's Fayetteville, West Virginia home mysteriously caught fire, seemingly trapping 5 of the 10 children upstairs. Sadly, firefighters did not arrive in time, and they were believed to have perished in the flames. Of course, this broke the grieving parents' hearts, but what really tormented them were the strange circumstances. You see, no bodies were ever recovered from the flames, not even charred bones. There was no sign of the children anywhere. Stranger yet, the couple recalled that shortly before the night of the fire, 2 odd men had come to their door making veiled threats about their home burning down and their children dying. One of these men had been posing as an insurance salesman. Odder still, he somehow found himself on the coroner's jury, which determined the fire as accidental. Tips flooded in about the suspicious salesman lurking near the home, but ultimately were never properly pursued. A waitress even claimed to have seen a group of 5 children with a strange man and a woman who refused to let them speak. Sadly, this too never went anywhere. So, was this homicide or kidnapping or something else? We may never really know on this one. Number 4. ELISA Lamb. I'm fairly certain that most of you are already well aware of this next case. It has been adapted into several short films as well as many scary stories. I'm talking, of course, about the case of the body in the water tank. The story of ELISA Lamb is a particularly disturbing one. The young woman had been staying in a downtown LA hotel when she was last seen. Then, one night, she simply vanished, gone without a trace for weeks. Then, guests at the hotel began complaining about dark, foul-tasting water. Upon inspection of the rooftop water tank, staff was horrified to discover the body of the missing woman. It was believed that she climbed in there herself, but strangely, the tank only latched shut from the outside. The only clue to her disappearance was a particularly disturbing bit of security footage captured on an elevator. Miss Lamb is seen to be behaving in a very strange manner. She is seen peering around the elevator door as if looking out for someone or something, then flattening herself out of sight against the elevator wall, before peeking again. Strangely, the elevator door seems to stay open an unnaturally long time while she does so. Eventually, she reluctantly exits the elevator and begins to move in a particularly odd way, waving her arms about and seemingly cowering. She then vanishes from the frame and the doors finally close, only to open and close a few more times without anyone in sight. It should be noted that no other people were ever seen around Miss Lamb. The bizarre circumstances surrounding Miss Lamb's disappearance has led many to believe that perhaps she was under the influence of some substance. However, even this theory is a bit shaky and leaves many questions unanswered. Number 3. The FLANNAN Isles Lighthouse Keepers. Old lighthouses have always had an eerie, almost otherworldly feeling to them. Well, with one particular lighthouse on the FLANNAN Islands, this seems to be taken to a whole nother level. You see, the lighthouse of the FLANNAN Isles oversaw the mysterious disappearance of 3 grown men vanishing without a trace. Just off the coast of Scotland lay the FLANNAN Isles. Being right along the major shipping route, naturally it was a logical place to set a lighthouse. During a cold December in the year 1900, the lighthouse was upkept by 3 lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. They were only supposed to stay for 14 days, but sadly, the lighthouse seemed to want to keep them longer. Days after a nasty storm blew over, people began to notice that the light in the lighthouse was out. Naturally, being a major safety concern, people went out to check on it. A team arrived expecting to find the keepers, but instead were greeted by messy, unmade beds as if only recently abandoned, and even an untouched meal on the table. Of course, at first, it was thought that the storm could have washed them away. However, their raincoats were found to be still hanging inside and untouched, and entry logs had been made after the date of the storm. Odder still, the door to the lighthouse was still locked when they arrived. Currently, the best guess people have come up with is perhaps a strange, freakish wave came and swept the men away. But even still, this is highly unlikely, as everything in the men's training told them to never, ever leave the lighthouse unmanned. Stranger yet, the door was locked behind them. Perhaps we'll never know exactly what it was that spirited these men away. Number 2. The JAMISON family. The disappearance of the JAMISON family left the entire police force and their local community collectively scratching their heads. This case seemingly made no sense. With every step of the investigation, they simply got more questions. Why would a family vanish without a trace, leaving only their car, their money, and their dog? On October 8, 2009, the entire JAMISON family disappeared from Eufaula, Oklahoma. The only apparent survivor was the family dog, miraculously discovered still alive in an abandoned vehicle. Leading up to the disappearance, the family had been interested in purchasing a 40-acre plot of land. They had loaded up into the family truck and headed out to visit said land when they vanished without a trace. A few days after the reported disappearance, authorities discovered the truck abandoned with no signs of the family. Only the dog remained. Malnourished but still alive. Along with the dog, police found the family's IDs, wallets, mobile phones, a GPS system, and, amazingly, $32,000 of cash untouched. A camera was also discovered, and the final picture on the roll was that of their 6-year-old daughter, who appeared to be somewhat distressed. Upon further investigation, security footage capturing the family's last known whereabouts was discovered. In this footage, the family behaved strangely. They seemed almost as if they were in a trance and did not speak to one another. Years later, the skeletal remains of the family were found less than 3 miles away from where the truck was found. Eerily, there appeared to be no signs of a struggle. Initially, theories of the family faking their own deaths to avoid an alleged lawsuit were popular. That is until the remains were discovered. Now, the most popular theory is that the family was somehow involved with drug dealing, but even this theory is filled with holes. The case remains unsolved to this day. Number 1. ZEBB QUINN. The disappearance of 18-year-old ZEBB QUINN left his community heartbroken and police completely puzzled. The more they looked into this bizarre disappearance, the more it started to feel like a strange conspiracy theory unraveling. It was a cold January evening in the year 2000 when ZEBB QUINN was last seen by his friend Robert Jason Owens. During their conversation, ZEBB pulled away as he had received an urgent paging and suddenly rushed to the nearest payphone. He seemed very distressed upon finishing the call and left in such a hurry he nearly rear-ended his friend's car on the way out. This was the very last time anyone saw him. It was several days later when Quinn's workplace received a call supposedly from him calling in sick. However, the supervisor insists that the voice on the other end of the phone was not him. After tracing the call, it was discovered to have come from Quinn's friend, Owens. Strangely, Owens claimed that Quinn had requested him to do so on his behalf. Obviously, this didn't satisfy the local police, and upon further investigation, learned that Owens had received treatment for several broken ribs and a head injury the very morning after Quinn's disappearance. Owens adamantly claimed this to be from an entirely unrelated car accident, but proceeded to be highly uncooperative with the police. But the case gets weirder from here. Apparently, the paging ZEBB had received the night of his disappearance was from his aunt, who was out that night spending time with the local girl Misty Taylor and her family. Apparently, ZEBB was sweet on Misty, despite her jealous and physically abusive boyfriend. Naturally, this did raise some eyebrows. 2 weeks after Quinn's disappearance, his car was discovered abandoned in a parking lot. Strangely, 2 lips and exclamation points were discovered drawn on the back window in lipstick. This, along with multiple items not owned by Quinn, including a jacket, a hotel room key, and a 3-month-old lab puppy. Suspiciously, the car had been left right across the street from a hospital, as if intended to be found. Sadly, none of the things found in the car led to any more clues, and the case eventually went cold, and to this day it remains unsolved. And that was 5 creepy, unexplained disappearances. I don't know about you guys, but when I hear this kind of stuff, it makes me look over my shoulder a little bit more when I go out. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing for more content like this in the future. Anyway, that is all we have time for today. I will catch you all next time with a new video, and until then, remember, stay creepy.